Welcome back.
Greetings, Sentinels. This is Universe Unique. And today, the truth comes to light. What looked like a simple exterior shoot in Liverpool has opened a crack in the new DC Universe. A tiny, almost invisible detail has triggered a theory that could break the entire logic of the reboot. And no, this is not an exaggeration. A sticker. A single sticker on a trash bin. How can something so trivial ignite theories about Robert Pattinson, the multiverse, and continuity errors during the filming of Clayface? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. But before that, one quick favor that costs you nothing and helps us reach an important milestone. We are about to hit a major goal in this community, and your subscription makes the difference. If you're passionate about this world like we are, this channel gives you something unique. Context, analysis, and theories built on evidence, not filler. And tell me, from which city and country are you watching this video? Leave it in the comments, because I read every single one. If this content is keeping you connected with the sharpest news and theories in the nerd universe, go ahead and hit the triple kill. Like, comment, and share. At first glance, it might seem like nothing. A decorative sign to keep Gotham clean on the side of a dumpster. But look closely. That logo, faded and half erased, isn't the Batman symbol from the DCU. It's Robert Pattinson's. Exactly the same one we saw in Matt Reeves' The Batman. And that's where things get complicated. Because this movie, Clayface, is officially part of the new DCU canon James Gunn is building. Which means it shouldn't have any visual ties to Reeves' universe. At least, not if the plan is still to keep those worlds separate. But this image, captured by fans during filming on the streets of Liverpool, standing in as Gotham, has reignited a long-standing fear in the fandom. Are we facing another Morbius situation? Yes, you're already thinking it. The same move Sony pulled, cramming references to every version of Spider-Man into the trailers, only to cut them from the final film. A strategy that confused more than it delivered. Is the DCU falling into the same visual trap? Here's the strange part, James Gunn responded. He said the trash bin is real. It was on the set, but he doesn't believe the logo was placed there by the art department. And, in his words, it never crossed his desk. So, is there a 1% chance that it's intentional? Or is this just background noise that will be digitally erased later? But that isn't the most important issue. The real question is why such a specific logo, one that only the most attentive fans would recognize, appears in a scene that, apparently, ties directly to the origin of the first Robin. And that cannot be dismissed as coincidence. There's something more here. And it isn't just a production slip. A pattern has already surfaced elsewhere on the set, and I'm going to show it to you next. When Pattinson's logo showed up on that trash bin, many fans assumed it was a deliberate tease. A way of saying, the Batman you know might not be finished. But what happened next was even more puzzling. James Gunn, the creative head of the new DCU, addressed the uproar publicly. And his response was, at the very least, ambiguous. He stated directly that the trash bin was indeed part of the set. But he strongly doubted that the specific symbol had been placed there by the art department. He also added that if it had been, the decision never went through his desk. That's where his statement starts to look suspicious. If it really was an insignificant mistake, why bother making such a carefully worded, politically open comment? Because what Gunn is doing here isn't denying. He's leaving room. Space that could be useful later if he decides, for example, to reinterpret that scene, fold it into a larger storyline, or even justify a visual retcon. And it wouldn't be the first time. In Creature Commandos, the DCU's Batman appeared briefly in animation. It was a different, more primitive design, not the suit we're supposed to see in The Brave and the Bold. Gunn has already said Batman will wear different armor in different appearances. What if this rougher version shows up in Clayface for that very reason? Because all signs suggest Clayface doesn't take place in the present. It's an origin story, a prelude, a piece that fits before the arrival of the definitive Robin. And if Batman is already active at that time, even from the shadows, then he needs a symbol, even if it isn't the final one. even if it's just the trace of an earlier design. That would explain why an unapproved logo appears on set. Because it may not be a mistake, it may be part of a hidden narrative. One not verbalized, not official, but consistent with the direction Gunn has hinted at. And that leads to an unavoidable question. Are we really looking at a prop error, or a visual clue planted deliberately to spark chaos? Because if James Gunn has shown anything, it's that nothing is left to chance, except when it benefits him. During filming at Amusement Mile, a fan photo revealed a banner for the Flying Grayson Circus. And while this might seem like a simple nod to Robin's origins, it's actually a key timeline marker. Because if the Graysons are still alive at this point, it means Dick hasn't lost his parents yet. He hasn't been adopted by Bruce. He hasn't trained with the League of Shadows. And therefore, Robin doesn't exist yet. This detail, easily overlooked, places the Clayface movie in a very specific time frame. Before The Brave and the Bold, before Damian Wayne steps in as the current Robin, and even before Dick becomes Nightwing. What we're looking at is an undeclared origin piece. A hidden prologue to the new Bat Universe. And the implications are significant. Gunn has already confirmed that in his DCU, Batman will be a seasoned father. A man who has gone through multiple Robins. Damian is only the latest in a line that includes Tim Drake, Jason Todd, and of course, Dick Grayson. Which means all of those stories exist somewhere in canon, but they haven't been told. Until now. The inclusion of the Graysons in this movie suggests that Clayface could be the first step in building a broader narrative. The formation of the Bat family. A world with internal continuity, where each character has a clear starting point, emotional growth, and their own legacy. And there's another layer. If we're seeing Dick before he becomes Robin, then where exactly is Batman at this point in the timeline? Is he already working from the shadows? Or is he still building his myth? His absence from the set doesn't mean he's not there. It only means, as always, he's hidden until he's needed most. But there is a visual clue, a nearly imperceptible detail, that might answer that question. And it appears right at the edge of the next scene. Even though no actor has been spotted playing Batman during the filming of Clayface, his presence is impossible to ignore. Gunn made it clear from the start, we won't see the new DCU Batman until The Brave and the Bold. But that doesn't mean the character isn't active in the story. Quite the opposite. He already exists. He's already operating. Just off screen, a silent force shaping everything. Take Creature Commandos. We saw a batsuit there. Gunn confirmed it was canon. Not just a wink, but a real piece of the new Batman. Even if his face hasn't been shown yet. That suit, more tactical and rudimentary, suggests a Bruce Wayne still in development. A vigilante who hasn't reached his final version. Apply that logic to Clayface, and the pieces fit. If Dick Grayson is still a child, if the Flying Graysons are alive, then this Batman is in his early years. He hasn't led the Bat family. He hasn't trained Robins. He's alone, working in the shadows. Just enough to be an urban legend in Gotham. Enough for his symbol, even if it's an earlier version, to appear on walls, in whispers, in myths. This kind of subtle build-up aligns with Gunn's narrative style. He sets the atmosphere first, then the echoes, and only later reveals the central figure. It's the same technique used with Superman in Man of Tomorrow, where the focus isn't on his constant presence, but on the reactions he inspires. And one more detail strengthens this theory. The leaked Gotham map for the DCU includes a location called Wayne Terminus. Not just any name. It's the same site Matt Reeves used as Robert Pattinson's Batcave, an old subway terminal owned by the Wayne family, turned into a base. Coincidence? Maybe. Deliberate reuse of visual lore? Much more likely. This doesn't mean Pattinson's Batman is part of the DCU. But it does show that Gunn is building his universe with cross-references, symbolic echoes, and locations that evoke other versions. Not to merge them, but to solidify his own. Because the Batman that's coming won't be brand new. He'll be a legacy already in motion, a figure who has acted before we've ever seen his face. And that visual silence makes him even more powerful. Because at this point in the timeline, only one figure is more unsettling than the bat in the shadows. And he's emerging from the mud. At first glance, the Clayface film seems focused solely on the tragic origin of Matt Hagen. But if you look closely at what's happening on set, especially at Amusement Mile, it's clear this goes much further. Gunn is planting the roots of a broader network, Gotham's Rogues Gallery, and the magical allies of the new DCU. The first clue is Hagen's portrayal. He's a washed-up actor, personally tied to a doctor, played by Naomi Ackie, who will be responsible for his transformation into a meta-human. An intimate, almost romantic bond, echoing the emotional tone of Feet of Clay, the classic Batman. The animated series episode where tragedy overpowers science. The visual storytelling on set reinforces this idea. We see him fleeing a theater, covering his face, unable to hold his form. Within Gunn's canon, this isn't just mutation. It's loss of identity, the start of body horror. But other names are hidden in the background. One is Roger Elliott, a surname DC readers recognize immediately. His son, Thomas Elliott, becomes Hush, a villain obsessed with Bruce Wayne, who even took over his face, his life, and his story. That name appearing in Gotham's background isn't random. It's a clear statement of intent. There are also posters of the Penguin, but not as the mobster we saw in the Batman. Instead, he's part of the circus. A grotesque attraction, a traveling spectacle. This version of Oswald Cobblepot shifts him away from Reeves's gritty take and closer to his comic book roots. A flamboyant, theatrical showman criminal. A deliberate contrast to Reeves's grounded portrayal, where they even changed his surname, from Cobblepot to Cobb, to erase aristocratic ties. And beyond that, we also see references to Club Vesuvius, the venue where Zatanna regularly performs in the comics. That single appearance would be enough to confirm magic is entering the DCU in force. But there's something even more interesting. If this story is a prologue, Zatanna could be introduced in a younger version. A narrative retcon that would justify casting a younger actress for her role in the present. All of this builds a Gotham that feels alive, organic, filled with simmering symbols. At the same time, it suggests Batman's story won't be told from the center. It'll be told from the edges, from the monsters, the backdrops, the alleys, and the names only the most observant fans are beginning to notice. But there's one more detail. A shared thread among all these characters that could redefine the true purpose of this film. And if that's confirmed, then Clayface isn't just an origin story. It's the first shot of the new universe. The collection of elements in Clayface is not random. A tragic character like Matt Hagen, a Gotham filled with familiar echoes but reinterpreted, the indirect presence of key figures like Zatanna, Penguin, and even Hush, all of it points to something larger. This isn't just a story of transformation. It's the actual starting point of the new Batman universe within the DCU. James Gunn never said there would be a Batman film before The Brave and the Bold. But what Clayface seems to be doing is carefully preparing that ground. Not by showing Bruce Wayne directly, but by introducing the pieces that surround his myth. Gotham itself, his rogues gallery, his emotional legacy. Even his symbol, tucked into the corner of a frame, already works as a foreshadowing. And if Gunn stays true to his narrative style, where secondary characters carry the story before the main heroes step into focus, then this horror tale with elements of tragic romance won't just be another movie. It will function as the DCU's hidden Batman begins. A story told from the darkness, from the mud, from the edges of the system. It's a risky choice, but a profoundly smart one. Because when the canonical Batman of the new universe finally appears, he will step into a world already scarred. A city already marked by pain, magic, and corruption. He won't be a hero starting from zero, but a symbol inheriting the shadows of those who came before. And in that context, the arrival of Robin, Damian, and the full Bat family will carry far greater weight. If this all proves true, then Clayface is not just an origin story. It's the first brick of the reboot. Not announced with fireworks, but laid quietly, beneath the surface. Exactly how Batman himself operates. And that completely changes how we understand what's coming. If this video helped you see the new DC Universe from a different angle, don't forget to subscribe. We are very close to reaching an important milestone here on the channel, and your support genuinely makes the difference. By doing so, you become part of a community that doesn't just consume geek culture. It analyzes it, questions it, and enjoys it with depth. And before you go, tell me in the comments, from which city and country are you watching this video? I'd love to know how far this conversation has reached. Thanks for being here, Sentinels. See you in the next reveal.